What if I told you for the price of a small condo in Orange County, you could own a large home with views of mountains, a large yard, and space to breathe? That's exactly what people are finding in the city that we're going to discuss at length today. This is one of the most affordable and underrated cities in Southern California. Now, it is growing like crazy, and lately we have been covering a lot of their new build communities, which there are a ton of, offering some pretty awesome incentives. And today we're going to dive into that city, which you've probably driven through on your way to Idlewild, Diamond Valley Lake, or even Soboba Casino, which you've probably never even stopped to really explore, and that city is going to be San Jacinto, California. Also, stick around to the end because I'll give you some information on why this city might not be the most ideal for yourself. San Jacinto is known as being one of the most affordable cities in Southern California, and with a population of just over 56,000 and growing, it really has that true small town feel that people are really looking for and craving these days. So instead of spending close to $1 million to be near San Diego, Orange County, Los Angeles, here in San Jacinto you can actually get a home, a single family residence with a yard, a neighborhood, and really that hometown feel. And often that is going to be in the mid 400,000s. Now on top of that, the city also has a slower pace of life, a welcoming community, and one of those kind of everyone knows your neighbor type of vibes with that small population. And that's also while being still close enough to Riverside to be an easy commute, close enough to Temecula wine country to have things to do on the weekends, and also close enough to Palm Springs for that extra little flair of vacation. So now with that said, if affordability and lifestyle are really on your mind and what you're looking for, San Jacinto definitely deserves a look. And that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. The top reasons why San Jacinto might be right for you, and also a few reasons why it might not. And as always, I'm going to keep it real with you guys on the pros and cons on why San Jacinto might be the perfect place for you or why it might not be the exact best fit. Okay, but first, my name is Justin King. My wife Allison and I run a small real estate team here in Southern California. And every day we help people like you relocate from all over the country or to even different parts of the country. And if you're considering a move here, whether it's next week, next month, or even 10 years from now, we're here for you. And we'd love to be your go-to resource for when you do decide to make that move. And also real quick before we dive into this video, if you find this helpful, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. It helps the channel grow. And if you know anyone else like looking around this way that you think might get some value from this, please feel free to share it with them. And also if you wanted to drop a comment with any suggestions or any actual questions, I'll make sure to answer them. Okay, now before we jump into the video, let's do a little history recap because San Jacinto goes back pretty far. This is actually one of the oldest cities in Riverside County. It was incorporated in 1888. Which actually makes it the second oldest city in the county. But of course, people were living here long before that. The San Jacinto Valley was originally home to the Luiseno people, I hope I'm saying that right, who lived here thousands of years before the Spanish settlers arrived. And that was in the late 1700s. After that, the Spanish settlers gave it its name San Jacinto, which was named after Saint Hyacinth. And later during the Mexican Rancho era, the land was mostly used for cattle grazing. Fast forward to the mid 1800s, after California became part of the US, American citizens moved in and started farming and built it into its little community. By the time San Jacinto was incorporated in 1888, it had already established itself as an agricultural hub, agricultural for citrus, dairy, and grain farming. Today, San Jacinto still has a small town charm and a major farming influence, but it's also grown into a family-friendly community that is affordable, that sits right at the base of the San Jacinto Mountains. So you really get this mix of history, wide open space, and new development. All right, let's get into it. These are the 5 reasons why people are moving to the city of San Jacinto. All right, now reason number 1, I think you can all guess it's going to be affordability. Reason number 1, affordability. It's no secret that California is one of the more expensive places in the world to live, but San Jacinto truly is that exception. As of late 2025, we're kind of in September right now, so late 2025, the average price in San Jacinto is going to be about $460,000. The average in Riverside County is going to be about $710,000, so you're saving quite a bit by coming out this way. And also Temecula, which is kind of one of the major hubs here, is going to be just under $700,000. Compare that to, like I said, with San Jacinto in the mid 400s. So for people that are just starting out, first time buyers, people really just getting their first house, or people looking to upsize into something with more space than they would get, say, in like Moreno Valley, Perris, Menifee, and not completely break the bank, San Jacinto's perfect. Retirees, it's a great area because you got a lot of 55 and over areas. There's also a few mobile home parks that really help with the affordability. One big thing with San Jacinto right now, though, is a huge push for new build communities. New builds have been offering buyer incentives. Prices aren't really dropping on them like what people would think, but you know, cost towards your closing costs, down payment assistance programs can definitely help you at least get in to a home. So that way, you know, in the next few years, if you decide this isn't the place for you, or if you would like to get closer back to OC, you do have that equity, and you are kind of in that equity wave, which is projected to keep going up, of course. Another thing that they have that I think is kind of overlooked is a lot of horse-friendly properties. You get some pretty big lots out here. You go to the older side of it, San Jacinto. You get, you know, it's not uncommon to find, you know, quarter acre, half acre, even, you know, an acre or two. So, and also not far from here, you can find some mobile homes where, you know, they're kind of in the mid 100,000s, but there's, of course, can be a space lease. I do have lenders that can help with those if that is something also that you're interested in. So on top of the new builds that are being built like crazy out there, you also have homes that are built like in the 50s, 60s. I think the oldest I seen out there was 1940s. Smaller houses, of course, you know, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, but, you know, just to reiterate, that really does add to the affordability aspect of it. You know, if you wanted something bigger out there, there's quite a few properties that are over 3,000 square feet, 5-bedroom, 6-bath. You know, of course, that's gonna be more affordable than say like a Perris, Moreno Valley, Riverside, Redlands, or Beaumont even. All right, so reason number 2 that I find that people really like coming out to San Jacinto, or something that they're looking for, is going to be, you know, a lot of the outdoor lifestyle, scenic beauty. You're surrounded by the San Jacinto mountains out there, and there's a lot of camping, RVing type things you could do out there. So now with that said, you could be to Idlewild in about, you know, 20 to 30 minutes. And if you're not familiar with Idlewild, it really is like a small mountain town. It's probably about an hour and a half away from like Big Bear, Lake Elsinore, but driving through it, you would never know that you weren't there. And up there, you'll find things like hiking trails, fishing. I believe you can hunt up there, hiking like crazy. Camping spots, they got cabins up there that you can rent. And then they have a pretty big town center where they have like live music, arts, crafts, all sorts of entertainment going at, you know, any given time of the year. And also during the summer, I find a lot of people go up there just because it's a little bit cooler than down the mountain. And also just 10 minutes away, you know, in Hemet, you got Diamond Valley Lake, which is a massive water reservoir in the area. You do fishing there, camping, boating, kayaking, and even hiking around the shoreline there. And of course, in the spring, they have the big super bloom that happens there, which is a huge tourist attraction. And then if golf is your thing, you got plenty of golf around San Jacinto. In the actual city itself, you got Soboba Springs Golf Course, which is just redone and completely revamped, and it's supposed to be a pretty killer experience. That, of course, is going to be part of the hotel, resort, and casino, which I haven't golfed there personally yet, but from what I understand, it's got pretty killer views of the mountains, all the scenery around it. And it's supposed to be a really kept, nice course to go play, really clean. When you go play there, you pretty much know what you're getting into. And then outside of that, not far away in Hemet, you got Seven Hills Golf Course, which is supposed to be really nice. Rancho del Sol in Moreno Valley, Menifee Lakes is only about 10 minutes away. That's supposed to be, that's actually a really nice course. It's one of my favorite ones in the area. And then if you have any sort of connections, you got Golden Era Golf, which is right at the mouth of Gilman Springs there. I don't know anybody that's played there, but if you do, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear about your experience there. And then for everyday fun type things with the family, you got Weston Park, where they have more of like the Little League going, the soccer going, and those weekend events. And with that, you also have like a lot of fitness type things going on at Weston Park, and that's run by Valleywide Recreation. Like I said, fitness type programs going, kids programs, and then they put on the local community events. And one of the real culture events is going to be the Moreno Valley Amphitheater, which is a beautiful outdoor venue kind of tucked into the mountainside there. It's home to concerts, plays, and community events. And fun fact, the Moreno Valley hosts the nation's longest running outdoor drama, which of course is the Ramona pageant. And that's been performed there for over 100 years, since 1923. All right, now reason number 3 is going to be location and commute. All right, so where San Jacinto is located is going to be on kind of the southeastern side of Riverside County. So when you're looking at this area, you'll want to make sure that it makes sense with your commute. You know, if you're going to LA, it's going to be a little more difficult, but if you're going towards somewhere like Riverside, Temecula, Menifee, you're not too far away. So these would be kind of drive times. To Temecula, you're about 20 minutes during peak rush hour traffic. If you're driving during that time, you're probably about 45, maybe 60 minutes. Riverside, you're about 35 to 40 minutes during non-peak times. During peak, closer to maybe an hour. Orange County, you get up to a little over that hour mark during non-peak times. During peak, you know, if you're leaving at like If you're leaving somewhere between about 5 and 8 a.m., you're going to be about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours even. San Diego, you're roughly going to be about an hour to an hour and a half. And then Rancho Cucamonga, Ontario, you're going to be right about 1 hour. Now the layout of the city, it's not super laid out super wide, but the city is actually pretty big. The city, technically it's about 26 miles. Now going end to end in the city, it's about a 15-minute drive, so everything actually does feel really accessible and really easy to get through. Population's not super huge, so you don't have a lot of those traffic issues going from one end to the other. So now with that said, it's not the most commuter-friendly place if you are, commuting out to like LA County, Orange County, San Diego County even. But if you are driving more towards Riverside, Temecula, but if you are driving out to more like the Riversides, the Menifees, the Temeculas, it's super manageable. Reason number 4, we're going to be talking about growth and amenities. Now, San Jacinto has been growing a lot and changing even more over the past decade, probably even the past 20 years. You got Soboba Casino, which is really one of the big draws there, and that's completely been revamped and redone over the last few years. Now it's considered a full resort. You got golf, casino, hotel, and restaurants. And I will say that alone has brought in a ton of jobs and entertainment options for the city. Also, retail and dining have been growing along State Street and Esplanade. Of course, you'll find the basics, the Walmarts, the Targets, the Home Depots. But also there's a lot of local shops and places that have been there, for over 20 years, those kind of authentic family places. If that's not really your jam, they also have the chain restaurants. And also healthcare is not super far away. You got some in town with Hemet Global Medical Center, and then you've also got a Kaiser, and then there's a Kaiser ER down the street in Marietta. And also, while San Jacinto is really small itself, it's technically sister city is going to be Hemet, which is a lot older, a lot more established, and is kind of more of an established city because you got Highway 74 running right through it. Which means you get access to the larger cities, shopping centers, malls, etc. All right, reason number 5, San Jacinto might be a great fit for you is going to be the community and the culture. What I think actually surprises most people when they start looking around San Jacinto and getting a feel for it is going to be the actual feel of community. Now it's on the more affordable side of the spectrum, so it's going to attract a lot of young families, a lot of people looking at more of that starter home to get their lives going and get what they can as far as homes. And as I mentioned before, that population is right around 60,000, so it's got that small town feel. It's also newer, so typically newer communities have a lot more sense of pride from what I've seen. So those community events like the parades, little concerts in the park, they get a really good turnout. And as mentioned before, the Valley-wide Recreation District puts on a lot of events for kids and families, and also adults. The Ramona pageant, as I mentioned before, is a huge tradition here, and people come out every spring to take part in it and take a look at it. And if you're into history, the San Jacinto Museum and nearby Estudio Museum give you a glimpse into the area's past. It is one of those places that you see where neighbors still wave. I do a lot of showings out there, and everyone's super accommodating and nice. And I do see a lot of kids out there still playing, after school and on weekends, which is super refreshing. I get people asking all the time, where did that go? Where do those communities exist? Say this is one of them. So those are our pros. I told you I get into the cons just because I want to show you every aspect of the city. Con number 1 for me, and that I hear the most from people, is there's no direct freeway access. There's a highway going through it. Actually, there's 2 highways. There's Lambs Canyon, and then there's Highway 74. So with that said, if you need to be in LA, Orange County, Palm Springs daily, just factor in that you're going to have about an extra 15-20 minute drive to get to the nearest freeway, which isn't the worst thing in the world because the drive-in is actually super nice. You're going through farms, dairies, etc. If you're coming from the north on that Lambs Canyon side, you're going through the hills there, which is super peaceful during the spring. It really greens up, so it's actually pretty pleasant. All right, con number 2 that I hear from people is limited nightlife. It's a smaller city, it's a lot newer, so you're not going to have as many of those kind of bars, restaurants, etc. to go cut loose in. Menifee has quite a few bars and breweries. Temecula has a pretty awesome nightlife scene. The Riverside's about 30 to 35 minutes away, and they have their own downtown. If you go up north a little bit, you got Redlands, which is about 40 minutes away, which is an actual super cool city to go bar hopping in. All right, con number 3 is going to be the heat. We're in the Inland Empire. It gets pretty hot here during the summer. And as mentioned in other videos, during the summer, we do get triple digits. It's not all summer long. It's not like Palm Springs. It's not like Arizona. It's not like Vegas. But it does get pretty warm. Also, we do have a little more humidity, but it's not humidity like, say, like Washington or the coast. All right, and con number 4, I don't hear this one a lot, but I do experience it and see it quite a bit. There's a lot of old dairies here. A lot of the houses are built on old dairy land, so sometimes you do kind of get that smell of old dairy. So kind of similar to Eastvale if you've ever been there. You get quite a few insects during like the spring and summer months. There can be a smell some days, but I don't really notice it translating inside of the houses. So take that for what it is. All right, so now with that said, those are kind of the pros and cons. You know, if you think it might be for you, it really does come down to what you want, kind of what lifestyle you want. If you're looking for affordability, space, quieter vibe, San Jacinto is probably stellar for you. If you're more into the fast pace, kind of busier, lots of things to do, lots of places to go, this might not be the best place for you because it can get kind of quiet and slow feeling. So now with all that, that wraps up our assessment of San Jacinto here, the pros, the cons, and as much as I could fit in between. All right, and so to recap, the pros were going to be affordability, outdoor lifestyle and scenery, location growth and amenities, and also community and culture. Cons weren't that long ago, so I won't go back into those. So now with all that said, if you're in the process of seeing if a move to San Jacinto is right for yourself, right for you, right for your family, or Hemet, or anywhere in the Inland Empire for that matter, I would love to be a resource for you. Shoot me a call, a text, an email anytime. I'm here to serve and support you on the highest possible level. I'm a full-time real estate agent, so days, evenings, nights, weekends, I absolutely love hearing from you guys. Like I said, myself and my team are here to serve and support you on the highest possible level. Big part of what we do is help people game plan. So like I said, whether it's 2 days from now, 2 weeks from now, or even 2 years from now, we're here for you. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button or the notification bell. I do post videos weekly. About what it's like to live out in Southern California. Now, if you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Super refreshing. And I get people asking all the time, where does that?
I learned a lot, man.
Really? Highway 76. Highway 76. Highway 74.
Everybody is.
Dude, whenever I talk about these, I talk about breweries and beer.
Hell yeah.
I'm just like,
That's what people want to hear about.
Yeah, I hope so.
It is.